The WWF, what the world is watching. Turn it on and rip the knob off.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Wrestling Memory Grenade, now at episode 160, woohoo! And away we go with the final week of WWF TV, heading in to the 1988 Survivor Series. This is week 3 of November TV for 1988 in the World Wrestling Federation, and I am Ray Russell, bringing you yet another glorious week of WWF television, leading into the big pay-per-view event this coming Thursday night, Thanksgiving night, at the Richfield Coliseum. But before we can get into that, we got to get into this, guys. And some good news right on the front of things. Just talked to my brother the other day. He's out having vacation time with his family right now. But when he gets back, we will be recording together Survivor Series 88. Going to go back in time and reminisce, if you will. And let's not forget the videocast version coming. Mr. Gene Jackson going to join me as my co-host for the videocast version of Survivor Series 88 coming to patreon.com/WrestleCopia, part of that VIP superfan tier. But right now, guys, we head back in time. Once again, the November 19th edition of the WWF's Superstars of Wrestling. Here we are, it's Superstars, November 19th, 1988, tape back October 25th, Baltimore, Maryland, the old Baltimore Arena. And we see that Saturday night's main event banner yet again across the ring skirt. So yes, not only a Superstars taping, but also an SNME taping as well, as we get Vince McMahon and Jesse the Body Ventura on commentary straight to the ring for tag team action involving Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, the Rockers, taking on Gene Ligon and George South. Wow, the Crockett Express, two of the top enhancement talents of the 80s, Gene Ligon and George South. We get a little Cleveland history knowledge here from the Body, as the Survivor Series set to be from the suburbs of Cleveland and Richfield. Jesse explaining why the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was chosen to be in C-Town. Talking DJ Alan Freed, who was the man largely responsible for spreading the word, the sound of rock and roll. Spent much of his career here in Northeast Ohio. Laid to rest here in Cleveland, in fact, is Alan Freed. So Jesse putting over the town a little bit there. As the match gets going, though, George South suckering Marty Jannetty in to start, but MJ going to make a blind tag out to Shawn Michaels, who drop kicks South from behind straight into a Jannetty Huracan Rana. Nice spot there from the tag team specialists. Vince and Jesse talk the innovative moves of the Rockers, as Gene Ligon going to tag in now. Rockers trying for some type of double team. Marty with a drop toe hold, but Gene wasn't ready for it and kind of runs through it. Total botch there. Instead, it's a double spinning elbow from the Rockers, followed by Shawn Michaels delivering that top rope standing fist drop. Looks like Ligon got up when he should have been laying there, but not Gene's best showing thus far in this matchup. George South back in to break up a pin, and it becomes all 4 men in the ring, Bonzo Gonzo, as we see stereo monkey flips from the Rockers and a drop kick, sending George South out to the floor, leading to Shawn Michaels super kicking Gene Ligon into a Marty Jannetty bridging German suplex. A la Orient Express, shout out to the future Kato and Tanaka, Sato and Tanaka. This is the future Orient Express's finisher, maybe Bad Company's finisher, who were good friends with the Midnight Rockers, so it makes sense. Shawn super kicking Ligon into a Jannetty German, getting the 1, 2, 3. Rockers going over here. Never seen them use that finisher before. Very cool. As the Rockers make their way to the Survivor Series, scoring this win 2 minutes and 33 seconds. As we roll off to Update and Mean Gene Okerlund talking more about the big Survivor Series event with the fans in the crowd. How will they be watching the event? Well, that's simple, Gene. They'll all be watching it on pay-per-view. Check your local listings, guys, for availability. Those in the Cleveland area, head on over to the Coliseum. As we go back to the ring for the $1 Million Man, Ted Dibiase with bodyguard Virgil by his side. Dibiase's opponent this week, Scott Hudson. Not that Scott Hudson. We get an insert promo here from the mighty Hercules, who vows to never give up, never surrender for his freedom from the $1 Million Man. Meanwhile, in the ring, we see Virgil intentionally drop some cash on the mat. And naturally, Scott Hudson goes to pick it up. But it proves to be a complete sucker job, as Scott is bent over, scooping up the cash. Dibiase letting him have it. Punt kick to start the matchup, and Virgil going to snatch that money back, stuff it down into his pocket if he has one. Total beatdown here from the $1 Million Man. Pair of falling fist drops, a standing elbow off the middle rope, and a power slam. Going to set up the $1 Million Dream as Ted Dibiase gets a victory. 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Hercules and Dibiase on opposing teams in the main event of the Survivor Series. And right now, speaking of the big pay-per-view event, we go off to the event center with Sean Mooney, featuring an interview with newcomer, Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney back at the event center. Start the countdown. It is now just a matter of days away. It will happen Thanksgiving night, the Survivor Series, coming to you live from the Richfield Coliseum. And what a night it is going to be. Standing by, talking about one of 4 spectacular matches, is Mr. Perfect. He is Curt Hennig.
Curt Hennig here, Mr. Perfect. And on Thanksgiving night in the Richfield Coliseum, the Survivor Series comes to town. And yes, Mr. Perfect is going to be a major part of it. And we have put together the perfect team. From top to bottom, see, I am absolutely perfect. No blemishes and no flaws. And we have put together a team. Listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. The return of the great one, Harley Race. The sexiest man in wrestling, Ravishing Rick Rude. The world's strongest man, Dino Bravo, and the 8th wonder of the world, Andre the Giant. A combination of all this great wrestling talent, and to top it off, the perfect partner, Mr. Perfect. Yes, we have all the bases covered, and we're going up against people like Ken Patera, Brian Blair, Tito Santana, Jim Duggan, and Jake the Snake Roberts. Oh, they're all great wrestlers, and they've got a lot of talent, but they're not perfect. We have the perfect team. And on that night in Richfield Coliseum, Thanksgiving night, it's all going to come to a head. It's all going to get down in the middle of the ring, 5 against 5. And we are going to show each and everybody in the Richfield Coliseum that we have the perfect team. And there's no doubt in my mind, and there'll be no doubt in your mind after it's all said and done, that we are absolutely perfect.
Mr. Perfect on the team of 5, co-captained by Andre the Giant and Dino Bravo. Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig, plans to be one of the survivors, and here's how you can see the spectacular event.
All right, we hear from Mr. P, Mr. Perfect, admitting their opponents at the Survivor Series, they're a good team. There's a lot of talent over there, but his team is absolutely perfect. And I have no idea what the fuck Hennig was wearing here. A sleeveless warm-up jacket, zipped all the way up, collar and all. Interesting look there, Curt Hennig. Perhaps the perfect look. As Nintendo Power presents the Blue Blazer. So Nintendo now sponsoring the WWF. Very cool. See a little dazzling moves there from the Blazer. And back to the ring for Tito Santana in singles action, taking on Steve Lombardi. As we hear Vince on commentary, Tito, remember we talked about it on the last episode, has brand new theme music. Entrance music going to play Tito to the ring now. As Vince states, "You can't sit down when you hear that kind of music, pal." Jesse Ventura, on the other hand, feels bad memories from hearing music like this, thinking back to his time in the military and going down to Tijuana. Some long nights there, eh, Jess? Meanwhile, the action gets going. It's new music, but the same old Santana going straight to the arm. Yes, arm bars here from Tito in this squash on Lombardi. Lots of discussion in this one. Actually, the focus, though, is on the return of Harley Race, as the announcers speculate if Haku will abdicate his throne for Race to resume his reign. That's some food for thought. Of course, timely manner here. Not only is Tito kind of a throwaway match for them to have discussions like this, but Harley will be across the ring from Tito at the pay-per-view. Meanwhile, back to the action here. Steve Lombardi gets in some shots, but it's Tito able to turn the tables in a hurry with the flying forearm, knocking Lombardi out. Tito picking up a win, 2 minutes and 5 seconds. And the action just keeps rolling on this week. It's the Red Rooster. Terry Taylor out here in Rooster fashion with manager Bobby the Brain Heenan. His opponent this week, Rusty Riddle. And a new jacket here for Terry Taylor, which used to read TT and now simply reads Rooster on the back. And Bobby making sure to point it out, pointing right to it. And of course, a RR on the red trunks as well of poor Terry Taylor here. We do get an insert promo here from the Rooster, who says the Brain did his part by getting Terry Taylor in the main event of the Survivor Series. And now it's the Rooster's job to do his part and help his team win. All right. As the action gets going, Terry gets cocky early on, if you will, and Riddle lands a hip toss on the Rooster, which seems to scare Terry. Rooster powdering over to the corner, looking for the Brain for advice. Seriously? Over a hip toss from Rusty Riddle? Taylor doesn't know what to do, so Heenan going to chew the Rooster out. His little red Rooster getting punished here verbally by Bobby Heenan. Then it's back inside, and Terry Taylor taking over. Nice stun gun, hot shot across the top rope on Rusty Riddle, leading to the Scorpion Deathlock, or as he calls it, the Cock of the Walk. Going to get Terry Taylor the quick submission win, 1 minute and 31 seconds. And then we head back again to the event center. It's all Survivor Series here this weekend, guys. Sean Mooney going to talk with the teams of Dino Bravo and Andre the Giant, and then we'll hear from the other side, Hacksaw Duggan, Jake Roberts, and their crew.
We are back at the event center. It will happen Thanksgiving night. That is this Thursday evening. Make your arrangements now to see it live from the Richfield Coliseum on pay-per-view. Right now, standing by, two of the teams involved, co-captained by Andre the Giant and Canadian strongman Dino Bravo, followed by the team co-captained by Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Jake the Snake Roberts.
Thanksgiving Day, a very important day on the American calendar. It's also the Survivor Series, and this is the most awesome team ever put together in the World Wrestling Federation. You look Mr. Perfect, Rick Ravishing, Rick Rude, Andre the Giant, Harley Race is going to be there, and we've got to face Kenneth Wade Patera, Brian Blair, Tito Chico Santana, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. You know what? I'm coming after you, Duggan. And Jake the Snake Roberts.
I'm coming after you. Jake the Snake, you made me get me by surprise. You tore that snake in that ring. And now you got me mad. And believe me, I will be the survivor.
This Thursday night's Thanksgiving in the Richfield Coliseum, Survivor Series. You know, beginning Thanksgiving, everybody brought something to give. Well, we got something to give. See, we have a sixth member. Everybody else has got 5, but we have 6. Survivor, baby! You better believe it. I'm looking at a group of survivors, and there's no question. We're not going to work together like some well-oiled machine, but I guarantee you, when they ring the bell, we're only going to have one thing in our minds, one thing in our hearts, and one thing focused. That's winning, that's surviving, and that's what it's all about. Bring it on, Mr. Perfect. Bring it on, Bravo. Andre, we got something for you. And Ravishing, I'd never forget you. Come on, guys. And Dino, I'm looking for you, tough guy.
Just who will be the survivors in this matchup? It's all part of the Survivor Series coming to you live Thanksgiving night. That is this Thursday evening, and here's how you can see it.
All right, so we heard from Team Dino Andre. Sans Harley Race was not there for the promo. We also hear from the other side, Duggan and Jake and crew. It's going to be a hell of a matchup when we get there. Survivor Series next week here on the show. Everybody has some last-minute comments to get you to fork over that cash as we continue on with the program. Once again, we talked about it last time on the show. Another commercial for the acclaimed VCR WrestleMania board game. Now, again, I bought that at a flea market for $5 or $6 a couple years after it came out. And no, I never learned to play the game. I simply watched the tape. And that's just what kids do, or did, at least in the 1980s. As we roll on back to the ring tag team action featuring the Hitman Bret Hart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, the Hart Foundation, taking on Larry Stevens and John Ziegler. As we get an insert promo from the the fabulous Rougeos and manager Jimmy Hart, who promised the Harts they will learn a lesson in survival this coming Thursday night, as Jesse Ventura still getting a kick out of the fact that the Rougeos are getting 25% of the Hart Foundation's well-earned money. You got to admit, that's a hell of a coup. Meanwhile, in the ring, Jim Neidhart mauling Stevens down, and then in comes Ziegler with a giant Z now printed on his ass. Eat your heart out, Zeus. The Hitman takes over with a nice backbreaker. Anvil back in with a standing dropkick, always impressive. And the Heart Attack, putting Ziegler down. The Hart Foundation going over 2 minutes and 44 seconds. And it's time to take a little break away from the in-ring action and head off to the Brother Love Show. His guests this week, the WWF Champion, the Macho Man Randy Savage, and the lovely Miss Elizabeth, and perhaps another special guest as well.
You don't seem to understand, Macho Man, is that one more time this Thursday night, Thanksgiving, your co-captain, Brother Hulkster, will once again learn a lesson about control.
No way! God damn, no way! Watch it, what I'm supposed to do right now.
We'll do it.
Of control, Brother Macho, by the big boss man. I want to reiterate, you're bitten off more than you can chew, because you're going to be staring at 457 pounds of a king. And this little woman manager right here is not going to be able to save you.
Wait a minute.
Listen to me right now, Brother Love, or you're in such trouble you'll never get out of it ever. I don't want you to say anything. I don't want you to see anything. I don't want you to smell anything. I want you to listen, and listen right now. Listen to the sound. Listen to the sound as I introduce one half of the Mega Powers, Hulk Hogan.
Brother Love, brother. He better get out of there. The Hulkster won't put him up. Pick it off. Look at this. The Mega Power handshake coming at you. Hulk Hogan will have his opportunity this Thursday night. Joining the Macho Man is co-captains of their team.
You know something, Mega Power Macho Man, brother? When you get into the Survivor Series, it's different than any other type of match, man. You're in there fighting for your life. You're in there trying to survive, man. I learned that a long time ago. But after the beating I took at the hands of the big boss man, after he tried to beat me like a dog with that nightstick, you've got the perfect co-captain to stand toe-to-toe, back-to-back, and fight for our lives. And as far as I'm concerned, when I look across that ring in the Survivor Series, every one of those guys looks just like the big boss man. And what are they gonna do when the Mega Powers run them over, brother?
I don't know. We'll have to find out this Thursday. Wow. Take a look at that. Oh, my goodness. The Mega Powers put to the test against the big boss man, Akeem, King Haku, the Rooster in the $1 Million Man, and Dibiase. What a matchup that's going to be.
Well, Brother Love feels that Randy Savage's team at the Survivor Series is simply outmatched and outclassed by their heel opponents, and that Hulk Hogan will learn another lesson of control at the hands of the big boss man. All right. But the Macho Man hears enough Savage yanking the mic away from Brother Love. he wants him to take notice to the fan reaction for Hulk Hogan. Out comes the Hulkster next, joining the set of the Brother Love show as Brother Love himself hightails it out of there, takes off. Didn't know Bruce Pritchard could run that fast. And the fans with a loud ovation for the Hulkster here as the Mega Powers do the mega handshake, and Hogan promising that they will survive the Survivor Series. Dude. So some final words from the top baby faces to sell the pay-per-view here this week on Superstars. And if that wasn't enough, we go off now to Mean Gene Okerlund with our final Survivor Series report.
This Thursday night, just outside of Cleveland at the Richfield Coliseum, second annual Survivor Series. I can hardly wait for this one. It's where teams of 5 strive to survive. Of course, you're going to be seeing Hulk Hogan teaming up with the Macho Man, Randy Savage, along with their 3 partners, to go against these 2 co-captains and company, the Big Boss Man and Akeem.
You know what I have to be thankful for? Because I'm going to be sitting at ringside with Virgil and my good pal Slick, and we're going to be watching these gentlemen stuff 5 turkeys.
Survivor Series, survival of the fittest. No, in this case, Virgil, it's going to be survival of the richest. And this team here is all jacked up. They're all jacked up because I have already lined their pockets with money. It's going to be a big day. And what are you going to be thankful for, Hogan, Savage, my slave, Hercules, Coco? Thankful that the night is over. Tell them about it.
Dibiase supplied me with handcuffs to fit everybody, but I brought a special pair, especially for you, Hogan. A little bigger, a little stronger. I got a team I can count on. You? Did anybody try to save you when I was beating you like a yard dog? Did anybody try to save you? Did any of them Googie Boots even know where you was at?
Survive!
You had a team to get alive! Survive! 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 Survive!
All right, this is the ultimate test of survival this coming Thursday, just outside of Cleveland. More as teams of 5 strive to survive. The Honky Tonk Man, Outlaw Ron Bass, and company to meet a fivesome that will be captained by the Intercontinental Champion, the Ultimate Warrior, and his co-captain, Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Let's get their comments.
The time is growing short. This Thursday night, Warrior! This Thursday night! It will be the chance when the team that we have put together here, and what a balanced team with Jim Brunzel, Sam Houston, and the Blue Blazer. We are gonna tear those guys limb from limb. Honky Tonk Man, Bass, Valentine, Bad News, Davis. You might as well just chalk it up. You might as well not show up because the Ultimate Warrior here is gonna stomp little bitty holes all over you.
We're bringing the Ultimate Intensity Survivor Series Thanksgiving Day! How many pieces can they be chopped up into? Sliced and carved just like the big turkey on the table. Well, Honky Tonk Man, I've been riding that fine line of intensity or insanity long enough. And in Survivor Series, I make a promise to you that my team is coming filled with rain.
All right, in the tag team portion of the Survivor Series this Thursday night, once a man has been eliminated, his partner also has been eliminated and must leave the ring area. And a couple of the great headliners, the Demolition, are going to be going against the team co-captained by the Powers of Pain.
Ha ha ha! Look at my new family! A family portrait! Ah! Like Mr. Fuji says, this is a new family, and it's this Thursday night when this team's on one side of the ring and the other team's on the other side of the ring. Who do you think's gonna walk out of there with no injuries? It's gonna be us, because we're gonna kick everybody's teeth in!
This is not gonna be a picnic. The Powers of Pain, the Hearts, the Rockers, the Bulldogs, the Stallions. Talk about destruction. Talk about devastation. Talk about demolition. Talk about nasty, mean people. Take a look. We're gonna walk into Richfield Coliseum, and it simply says Survivor Series. Look at the surviving faces. There's not an opponent on the other side of the ring that wants to get in with anybody. We're gonna pick and choose. Powers of Pain, Hearts, Rockers, Stallions, one by one. You're out.
Woo, I tell you what, we're all gearing up for this Thursday night, the big one in Richfield, Ohio, the Survivor Series on Thanksgiving Day, and I think all of us got a couple scores to settle, isn't that right?
Well, you talk about turkeys. This is the place for turkeys. You got 10 turkeys. 10 turkeys. Count them. We got the demolitions. We got the Rougeaus. We got the Bolsheviks. We got the brain busters. And we got the conquistadors. But this time, we are all prepared, and we're going to dish it out like nobody's ever seen. Right, Anvil?
You know, at Survival Series, it really boils down to who's in the best shape. With the co-captains, the Power of Pain, and the Bulldogs, what a team! Look out, boys! Look out! Because we are coming!
I find this dramatically different than the singles competition you see in the World Wrestling Federation. This is going to have to be a team effort in the Survivor Series. Think of all of those single elements, those big egos. I'm certain we're going to find it a very interesting evening this Thursday night in the Survivor Series just outside of Cleveland. With the Survivor Series report, I'm Gene Okerlund.
All right, the matches announced, all 4 big matches. Teams of 5 strive to survive, and then that big 20-man tag as well. Let's not forget, we just heard from Team Boss Man, Team Warrior, missing the blue blazer, Team Demolition, getting their words in, and then some of Team Powers of Pain, minus the Powers of Pain. It was the Heart Foundation, Rockers, and Young Stallions in that segment, but a lot of teams looking forward to this Thursday night, as am I. And we go back to the ring, as promised last week. Feature match time this week. Gonna pit one of the big feuds of 1988, getting back in the ring, rekindling the feud, if you will, after 8 months of back and forth. Talking about Brutus the Barber Beefcake taking on the former Intercontinental Champion, the Honky Tonk Man, with Jimmy Hart in his corner. Is Jimmy still a colonel since Honky's not the champ? I don't know how that works. Beginning to end from January through SummerSlam time, Beefcake and Honky had that big feud going on. Of course, Outlaw Ron Bass playing a spoiler in that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But right now, after some stalling to get things going, well, it wouldn't be a Honky Tonk Man match without some stalling. Honky going to come at the Barber, but runs right into a high knee. Good way to get things going there. Barber going to fire away. Honky trying a few shortcuts in between, but Brutus countering every time, and the crowd crazy hot for this encounter as Beefer unloads with another series of big punches, leading to the sleeper hold. Holy shit! Less than 2 minutes into the matchup, and Honky Tonk may be going night-night. But no, in comes the Outlaw. Ron Bass attacking Beefcake from behind, drawing the DQ in just 1 minute and 58 seconds. Well, it was actually fun while it lasted, but it's double team time now. Bass and Honky Tonk beating down Brutus, but out comes the cavalry. Yes, indeed. Blue Blazer, Sam Houston, and Jumping Jim Brunzell, completing B-tights here, followed by Danny Davis, Greg Valentine, and Bad News Brown. We've got ourselves a wild brawl in the ring, but somebody appears to be missing. Crowd eating it up, though. We got 9 guys beating the living piss out of each other, and then an even louder eruption from the fans because it's the Ultimate Warrior, the Intercontinental Champion, hitting the ring at 100 miles an hour. The Warrior Man cleaning the clocks of all the heels, helping his team to clear the ring, and the Warriors team stands tall inside. The heels look on from the aisle. Nice little build, a little taste of what's to come this Thursday night. Had me pumped anyway, guys. And before we close out Superstars, one more event center with Sean Mooney, some final Survivor Series hype.
Welcome back to the Event Center, a matter of days away. Thanksgiving night, the Survivor Series. And this is my last chance to give you the rundown of the spectacular teams. In the Survivor Series Tag Team Elimination Match, the Powers of Pain. They will captain one side, the rest of their team of 5, the tag teams, the Heart Foundation, the British Bulldogs, the Rockers, and the Young Stallions. Across the ring, captains Axe and Smash of Demolition, the rest of their team. The fabulous Rougeau brothers, the Russian Bolsheviks, the Conquistadors, and the Brain Busters. And here are the teams of 5 that will strive to survive. Co-captains Andre the Giant and Canadian strongman Dino Bravo. The rest of their team of 5, Ravishing Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect, and Harley Race. They will face the team co-captained by Jake the Snake Roberts and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. The rest of the team of 5, Tito Santana, B. Brian Blair, and Ken Patera. In another spectacular matchup, the Honky Tonk Man, the former Intercontinental Champion, he will co-captain a team of 5 along with the Outlaw Ron Bass. The rest of the team, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Bad News Brown, and Dangerous nemesis, Danny Davis. They will face the team co-captained by the Intercontinental Champion, the Ultimate Warrior. He will co-captain the team of 5 with Brutus the Barber, Beefcake. The rest of this team, jumping Jim Brunzell, the Blue Blazer, and Sam Houston. And everyone is waiting to see this one. The Big Boss Man, the co-captain of team, along with Akeem. The $1 Million Man, Ted Dibiase, the King Haku, and the Red Rooster will join them. They will face the team co-captained by the Macho Man, Randy Savage, and Hulk Hogan. Rounding out this team of 5, the Mighty Hercules, the Birdman, Coco, Beware, and Hillbilly Jim. It's all part of the action taking place at the Survivor Series. It happens at the Richfield Coliseum, and what a night it is going to be. Do not miss your chance to see all the action.
Well, if you didn't know you needed it, you got it there. A little more Survivor Series hype, this time from the Mooney Man. I assure you that was Sean and not his evil twin brother Ian. As we conclude this week's Superstars, we learn that next week on the program, it's going to be the IC Champ, the Warrior in action, as well as the Big Boss Man. Going to be here, Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig, Jake the Snake Roberts, Ravishing Rick Root. My God, they are stacked next week. So we got Warrior, Boss Man, Mr. Perfect, Jake Roberts, and Rick Root all on the same show. Plus, the Young Stallions will be here as well. And if all of that wasn't enough, featured match, going to see King Haku take on the Mighty Hercules. And if all of that wasn't enough, 7 matches, yes, but WWF President Jack Tunney himself going to be here as part of the Brother Love Show. And spoiler alert, guys, Bad News Brown, not far behind. So, wow, they're going to be coming out hot after the Survivor Series here. And let's not forget, another edition of Saturday Night's Main Event going to air next weekend as well. So, with a lot of current feuds in a holding pattern until after the pay-per-view, it was just a lot of hype here this week, as you might have heard. A lot of promos talking the Survivor Series. Nice little sample at the end of the show as well with the big 10-man brawl to excite the fans for some of those last-minute buys. Good job there by the World Wrestling Federation, as we've got more to talk about. But first, these messages from the WrestleCopia Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, Gene Jackson here, inviting you to check out the Retro Wrestling Review, where each week I'm joined by some great co-hosts who help me review classic episodes of USWA Championship Wrestling, and right now we are doing week-by-week reviews of 1993. But we don't just do reviews, sometimes we get a chance to interview some of the people who were there and lived it, plus do watch-alongs. It's a lot of fun, so check out new episodes that drop every Wednesday at WrestleCopia.com, and to find links to everything associated to the podcast, you can go to USWApodcast.com.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here, curator of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, inviting you guys to listen to many of the programs here as part of the WrestleCopia brand, including, but not limited to, the Wrestling Memory Grenade, currently covering the 1988 and the WWF project. You can also listen to the Regional Wrestling Podcast, where we talk the territories. You can also listen to the Wrestling Stoop with the legend himself, Bob Roop. But that's not all. You can also check out the Puro Wrestling Academy with the professor of Puro Resu, Mr. Dan Ginnity. Dan and I go back in time and cover the history of Japanese professional wrestling in the English language. And you can listen to all of those shows and more, all part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, located over at WrestleCopia.com. That's WrestleCopia.com, and anywhere your podcast streaming needs are met. And while you're at it, why not subscribe to our social media guys for all the latest goings on here at the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Plus, I'm constantly adding old school video clips and pictures from throughout wrestling history. You can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter, at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. Also, follow and like me, Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. And why not subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. And of course, now would be a fantastic time to become a WrestleCopia patron over at Patreon.com/WrestleCopia. That address again, Patreon.com/WrestleCopia, where you get so many gifts, including all of my insanely detailed show notes for every episode of The Grenade Show, Regional Wrestling, and the Monday Warfare podcast. You'll also get early access to a lot of the podcasts here on the WrestleCopia brand, where you can listen days and sometimes as much as a week earlier than the rest of the listeners. But that's still not all, guys. You also get at least a dozen digital downloads for your viewing and reading pleasure each and every month, plus random bonus video drops, and of course, the Patreon exclusive Watch Along series covering many past WWF and WCW events. And if that's not all, videocasts, also now a part of Patreon. No subscription, cancel anytime. Give it a try for a month, guys. I think you'll like the content that I offer, and every penny of it goes right back here into paying the bills. So if you're looking to support that next up-and-coming podcast brand, please consider making it WrestleCopia. Help me pay some of the bills to keep the WrestleCopia podcast network and all of the great shows here up and running for the months and the years to come.
Hey, it's Bob Smith, and guess what? The Outdated Wrestling Hour is now part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. But hey, no fear, you're still going to hear the unique guests, comedy, music, authors, journalists, funny people. Who knows who's going to end up on the Outdated Wrestling Hour? Remember, it's all new and all old. So check it out in the WrestleCopia Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcasts. Listen if you know what's good for you.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Wrestling Memory Grenade, episode 160. Just a week away from the Survivor Series, and I am pumped. So we're going to continue on here, go off to the November 20th edition of the WWF's Wrestling Challenge. All right, away we go. Wrestling Challenge, November 20th, 1988. Tape back October 26th, Salisbury, Maryland, at the old Wacomico Youth and Civic Center. It's Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon on commentary, per the usual. And straight to the ring, we ended Superstars with our feature match. Well, this week on Challenge, we're going to kick things off with the featured match promised Hacksaw Jim Duggan taking on the Bolsheviks, Nikolai Volkoff. And Volkoff going to have Slick and Boris Zukov, his partner, in his corner, and of course, Nikolai singing the Russian national anthem to get things going. We also get an insert promo from old Hacksaw, who doesn't fear the Russian Bolsheviks. Tough guy. And then out comes Jim Duggan with 2x4 and American flag in his hands. Boris Zukov going to stand in the aisleway blocking Duggan, but gets bowled over. Hacksaw, with his hands full, uses his shoulder to simply walk through Boris. Zukov taking a bump on the ground. I wrote LOL, great sight there. Hacksaw running right through Zukov. As once Hacksaw finally getting into the ring, Big Nick gonna attack, but Duggan shrugging it off, chasing Nikolai out to the floor. And then once back inside, Volkoff taking control briefly, working Duggan over in the corner, but Hacksaw battling back, landing a big clothesline. And Volkoff not helping the cause here, taking a couple of shitty bumps, but it is the 3-point stance and clothesline. Duggan leaving his feet there, knocking Volkoff off his, and Hacksaw scoring the pretty quick win, 3 minutes and 4 seconds. So they managed to keep this short, perfect amount of time to get the point across here. Duggan beats a evil foreigner to celebrate America while coming for Dino Bravo. Meanwhile, the writing on the wall for the mighty Bolsheviks tag team, Duggan plowing through, Boris Zukov on the floor, and then beating Nikolai with his finisher in a mere 3 minutes. Way to go, Hacksaw. As we continue on, special interview time. Mean Gene up on the platform with the IC champ, the Ultimate Warrior, Brutus the Barber Beefcake. And again, just another last-minute sell job for the Survivor Series. Warrior and Brutus put over their teams and talk their opponents, Ron Bass and Honky Tonk Man. It's all about revenge, says the Barber, and survival. And as much as he tried, even the large amounts of cocaine snorted by Beefcake here can't compare to the wired-up Warrior. But boy, Brutus sure did try. Go back and, if you can find it, check out this promo. Brutus trying to act just as juiced up as the Warrior. A for effort, but nobody's going to match that level. So we go back to the ring for singles action involving Bad News Brown taking on Dave Paradise. Let's not forget Bad News is going to be part of Team Honky Tonk at the pay-per-view. Brown attacking Paradise before the bell. Total mauling per the usual when Bad News is involved. They spend some time pushing the upcoming matches and the feud between Bad News Brown and the WWF champion Randy Savage, Bobby Heenan here on commentary, mentioning Brown's petition for a title shot with WWF President Jack Tunney. Again, more on that next time when we cover next week's TV following the Survivor Series. But here in the ring, it's the Ghetto Blaster, giving Brown a, longer than usual win. Match goes 3 minutes and 19 seconds. So, like I said, longer than usual match for Brown here, who didn't really need that extra time, if you know what I mean. Bad News was relegated to generic strikes by this point in his career. Lots of kicking and punching, things of that nature. Honestly, quick matches with the Ghetto Blaster would have worked best for Bad News Brown and his character at this point in his career. Bad News has seen better days physically by this age, but all he needs is that Ghetto Blaster one time, and the Macho Man could be a former WWF champion. And as right now we go back to the event center, Sean Mooney going to talk with the co-captains of one of the many teams at the Survivor Series. We're going to hear from the Honky Tonk Man and the Outlaw, Ron Bass.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney back at the Event Center. Thanksgiving evening. The Survivor Series coming your way. Time is running out, and you have the chance to see it all live from the Richfield Coliseum. Right now, standing by talking about their match is co-captains, the Honky Tonk Man and the Outlaw, Ron Bass.
You know, Honky Tonk Man, it's this Thursday night, Thanksgiving night Survivor Series, one of the biggest nights ever for the WWE. And, you know, we're kind of going to go against the season a little bit, because if you think a little bit, everybody, they're around with family and friends, you know, and they get together. They're thankful for this, they're thankful for that. But, you know, I know some individuals, they're not going to be thankful for anything but time when the Big Outlaw and the Honky Tonk Man gets done with them. I'm talking about you, Ultimate Warrior. I'm talking about you, Brutus the Barber, Beefcake. I'm talking about you, Jumping Jim Bronsell. How about you two, Dancing Sam Houston, and that Blue Blazer? Let me tell you, people, Survivor Series is when you get down and get real nasty, and you're looking at the nastiest. We've got the experience in the Survivors, and I guarantee you, we're going to be taking it to them, huh, Honky?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm thankful for a lot of things,
Yeah,
Ron, but
baby.
this Thursday night, the Honky Tonk Man is thankful that he has got the greatest team ever assembled.
Tell him about it.
This time, the Honky Tonk Man is so thankful, and it's Thanksgiving night, and the Honky Tonk Man with Outlaw Ron Bass, Bad News Brown, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Dangerous Danny Davis. Now, I'm telling you, if that's not a team to be thankful for, there's not a team around. And we feel like, on Thanksgiving night, this Thursday night at the Survivor Series, Richfield Coliseum, the Honky Tonk Man, Ron Bass, and our team is going to play a tune
It's going to
with
be
Miss
sweet, but
Betsy.
ain't it?
And this right here,
It ain't gonna
like
like-
nobody has ever heard before. They're going to be thankful. They're going to be thankful,
We're
okay?
coming at you this Thanksgiving.
Sending a message to the team co-captain by the Ultimate Warrior and Brutus, the Barber, Beefcake. That will be some encounter. It all takes place at the Survivor Series.
Well, earlier on the platform, it was Mean Gene with Brutus and the Warrior, so it was only fair that we hear from the other side one last time on the Event Center, the big pay-per-view upcoming. Honky Tonk says they're going to play a tune on their opponents. Well, time will tell. We shall see. We're not that far away. And then back to the ring for singles action with the Mighty Hercules taking on Max MacGyver. That's McGiver, for those curious. Says so right on the back of his jacket. Still the same tapings as last week, so Hercules again with that weird entrance music that we heard on the last episode of The Grenade. Lots of talk of the Hercules face turn during this matchup, how Bobby Heenan will indeed pay in due time, and some hard selling for Herc's match at the Survivor Series here. Gorilla even questioning Bobby Heenan about the Red Rooster in this one. How did he get to be in the main event of the pay-per-view? Everybody's got to shit on the Rooster. Hercules going to toy with MacGyver throughout this one before finally locking in the torture rack, the backbreaker, giving Herc the submission win in 3 minutes flat. And we do hear some cheers from the fans here, but the reaction just isn't there. Not yet for the Mighty Hercules, but I am a firm supporter. I will have you know, as we continue on back to the ring, we see the big Boss Man with the Doctor of Style Slick. Boss Man's opponent, one Bob Emery. We get an insert promo here from the Doctor of Style as he says the Boss Man is coming to Thanksgiving dinner for you, Hulk Hogan. Hogan going to be the main course for the big Boss Man in just a few days' time. Meanwhile, in the ring, the Boss Man disposes of Emery straight to the floor. Nasty bump outside to kick the match off. Bob Emery already taken some bad bumps here. Emery going to try a slingshot sunset flip back inside, but the Boss Man simply turns around and stomps him down, puts his foot through the chest of Emery. and then a spine buster, followed by the patented leg straddle across the middle rope, setting up the Boss Man Slam, giving the BBM the win. Boss Man going over 2 minutes and 35 seconds, and you best believe some post-match cuffing and clobbering with the nightstick. Boss Man looking badass leading into the main event at the pay-per-view, and at the conclusion of this matchup, Bobby Heenan announcing on commentary that he has some important things to do and quickly leaves the booth. Well, that was weird. What's he up to? Well, we will find out on the other side of this event center with Sean Mooney. One more time, going to hear from Team Dino Bravo and Andre the Giant.
And we are back at the World Wrestling Federation Event Center. It is now just a matter of days away. It will happen this Thursday night at the Richfield Coliseum. See it live on pay-per-view television. The Survivor Series happening Thanksgiving night. Right now, standing by is the team co-captained by Andre the Giant and Canadian strongman Dino Bravo.
Had enough of this day. I've had enough of the Survivor Series because there's only going to be one group of individuals that survive. And you're looking at them right here. So, Mr. Olympic Great Patera, get ready. You, Brian Blair, get ready. Hey, La Bamba, Tito Santana, you get ready. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, supposed to be a big patriot, you get ready. And then Jake the Snake Roberts.
Jake the Snake!
No snake, there'll be no snake.
You think I was scared, but I'm not scared at all, Jake. And believe me, when you go step in that ring, you will be the one who's going to be scared.
Now, what could be more perfect than that? We have got all the bases covered from top to bottom. This is absolutely the perfect team. That's right. 5 super individuals put together to make one team, and amongst us, there will be a survivor.
That's right. And as far as you're concerned, Jim Duggan, it's a day you're going to remember the rest of your life because we're going to destroy each and every one of you. And that's a promise from Andre the Giant. I just remember last year who was the survivor. And I'll be back in there to be the survivor, and I will put my team.
We're going to survive! 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 Survive!
Well, teammate Harley Race will join that team this Thursday night at the Survivor Series. They will take on the team co-captained by Jake the Snake Roberts and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Right now, here's some special information.
Well, it sounds like all the teams are ready for this Thursday night, and now it all makes sense. Where did Bobby Heenan disappear to? What were the important things he had to do? Well, it all makes sense now that we see Jake the Snake Roberts make his way to ringside for the upcoming contest, taking on Steve Lombardi. Bobby Heenan wanted no part of the Snake Man here, as we get an insert promo from Jake Roberts, who has Damien with him, promising that Damien has one giant of a meal this Thanksgiving night. Meanwhile, in the ring, Steve Lombardi able to kick Jake through the ropes, send him to the floor, but Roberts going to come back inside, reversing an Irish whip. Steve bouncing out, stumbles right into the DDT, putting the Snake Man over 2 minutes and 35 seconds, and Damien going to come out for some post-match fun as well. Andre better beware 2 snakes to look out for this Thursday night as we continue on to Special Report and Lord Alfred Hayes as we hear from some of the referees in this Thursday night's big event. Going to put over how dangerous the Survivor Series can be. We hear from referee Tim White, who calls this pay-per-view a referee's nightmare. Says it's hard enough to control a tag team match, but 5-on-5, anything can happen. We also hear from Joey Morella, who says the referee's main concern this Thursday night is for their own survival. And last, we hear from Dave Hebner, I guess that's Dave, who questions if the referees will even be able to keep control of the upcoming elimination matches. So very different. We get to hear from the referee's point of view, not just the wrestlers coming at each other this Thursday night, but now the referee's explaining this is a very dangerous and scary thing for us to be involved in. How can we handle all of these men? And of course, we're going to have one referee inside the ring and one on the outside, hoping to maintain control, but pushing the event hard as a anything can happen type of event. The referees clearly concerned for their own well-being with so much going on out there at one time. And of course, let's not forget, I feel bad for whoever's involved referee-wise in that 20-man tag. As we continue on, we get a replay from the Survivor Series report, actually last week's Survivor Series report from Superstars, where we heard from the Mega Powers and Team Boss Man. So it's back to the ring for Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, taking on Scott Casey. as we get an insert promo here from Mr. Perfect, puts over his perfect team upcoming at the Survivor Series. The aggressive Mr. P here continues with a hard left hand from Hennig, puts Casey down, even going to talk a little trash over top of Casey here. Scott Casey, though, coming back with a nice scoop slam, but missing an elbow drop, and Hennig going to fire right back with a pair of his own elbows. Scotty going to block a hip toss, turn it into a backslide, getting a 2 count on Mr. Perfect, but Hennig hammers back, ducking a clothesline, landing the axe. Forearm right between the eyes. Takes Casey down, and Hennig going to make the cover. No Perfect Plex this week. Scott Casey out cold. Mr. Perfect going over 2 minutes and 51 seconds. And one quick note here. It's Hennig, Mike McGurk, not Henning. Never understood why that was so hard to grasp by some people, even to this day. But very unusual. We know Scott Casey going to be part of the pay-per-view. Not announced yet, maybe a last-minute replacement. So when this was taped, they didn't have that in mind. So Scott Casey going to do the job for the forearm. The big blast, nod to his father, Larry the Axe Hennig. Mr. Perfect going over here, minus the Perfect Plex as we go back to one final event center. Sean Mooney going to do the final rundown of the pay-per-view card. And then next week on Wrestling Challenge in the Ring, we're going to see the tag team specialist, The Rockers, going to be here, as well as Brutus, the Barber Beefcake, the fabulous Rougeau brothers, Tito Santana, the Red Rooster, also here, as well as the Brainbusters. And then the featured match from the upcoming Saturday night's main event, we're going to see Canada's strongest man, Dino Bravo, taking on the Olympic strongman, Ken Patera. And it looks like we've already ditched that Mean Gene fan interaction segment where Mean Gene goes into the crowd talking with the fans, which I'm fine with. As we finish our final syndicated TV spot before the pay-per-view, the big hard sell ends. The time for talking is done, and the Survivor Series is coming this Thursday night. The only thing that stands in the way is this Tuesday edition, November 22nd, 1988, Primetime Wrestling. All right, guys, so a little fun here this week. No sound bites for Primetime Wrestling because Gorilla and Bobby are at sea. It appears that Bobby Heenan has, we'll call it chartered, we'll be kind, chartered a yacht that he pretends is his, for anyone that believes him. Bobby Heenan has chartered a yacht, promising a couple of lovely young ladies that Rick Rude and crew are going to arrive in due time, which, surprise, surprise, they never do. By the end of the episode, we find out that Bobby Heenan has commandeered this ship, perhaps stolen this yacht, of course, to no one's surprise, especially the gorillas. But no doubt Bobby Heenan will pop up in time for the Survivor Series. Exclusive matches aired this week on Primetime Wrestling featuring Harley Race, the former King, still wearing the King trunks, pinning Alex Knight. Match goes 3 minutes and 44 seconds. Harley no longer able to use the cradle suplex because that's Kurt Hennig's move now. So Harley returns, delivering a superplex, which if you think about why Harley Race was out for the past 8 months, is crazy to think he's climbing up to that middle rope, delivering a superplex here, going to score the win over Alex Knight. That match taped in Sacramento at the Arco Arena back just November 16th, only a week ago. Also here, this is a really fun one, taped at the Cow Palace in San Francisco, November 15th. Going to see a couple of West Texas alumni get in there, know each other very well, going back to before professional wrestling. I'm talking about the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, with Virgil in his corner, scoring a win over Tito Santana by disqualification. Match going to go 12 minutes here. Tito looking to have the win, hitting that flying forearm. Virgil going to get involved behind the referee's back, leading to the mighty Hercules out to make the save. Now, unfortunately, the referee doesn't see Virgil's shenanigans, but he does see the mighty Hercules arrive and disqualify Santana in the process. So Ted DiBiase stealing a DQ victory here over Tito in actually a very fun match here on Primetime Wrestling. And that's going to wrap it up, guys, here this week on The Grenade. Kind of a short show, not a lot to do as we set up the big pay-per-view. Next time here on The Grenade, it is Survivor Series 88, perhaps the definitive edition. I'll let you guys be the judge. I'm going to have my brother on. We're going to talk. We're going to reminisce about the old Coliseum video version, the live version, and memories in between. It's going to be a fun time inviting you guys back here next time on The Grenade. But until then, just a reminder to head on over to WrestleCopia.com. Check out all of the great podcasts we offer. And of course, they are all available to play on all of your favorite podcast streaming platforms. Be sure to follow and like me over at Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. Over 31,000 followers and counting. Be one of them, guys. All the great videos, pictures, and beyond that we post over there, and updates as well. And speaking of updates, coming soon, Survivor Series 88, the video cast, along with Gene Jackson, coming to Patreon.com/WrestleCopia, part of that VIP superfan tier. We've got so many videos coming up right now. The Pro Wrestling Academy with Dan Ginnity, been posting lots of great action there. And of course, the Coliseum videocast with Gene Jackson. Have a lot of fun there. Who won the April Fool's Pick'em Time poll? Got to join that VIP superfan tier. Find out and have some fun along with us. We've got so much upcoming. And of course, now we've added, well, it's been there all along, but we're adding new content to the Ultimate tier. You guys can go check out more information on the Ultimate tier over at Patreon.com/WrestleCopia. But I'm inviting everybody to join the tier that works best for you financially and what you're looking for, what we're offering out there, the $5 all access tier or the VIP superfan tier. That is the one that I personally recommend, more bang for your buck right out of the gate with all the great video casts. But for now, going to wrap it up. Got a lot on the horizon. We've got Survivor Series around the corner, then another week of November WWF TV, and then another edition of Saturday night's main event. A lot going on over the next several episodes of The Grenade, inviting you guys to tune in and have some fun along with me. But until then, this is Ray Russell saying, from pillar to post and coast to coast, you pull the pin, and I'll pick up the pieces right here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade. See you next week. Don't miss it. Be there!
The Survivor Series is coming to you live Thanksgiving night. Your chance to witness the superstars of the World Wrestling Federation compete in a survival of the fittest. Macho Man Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, Andre the Giant, 50 stars in all. The World Wrestling Federation presents the Survivor Series, where teams of 5 strive to survive. Coming to you live Thanksgiving night exclusively on pay-per-view. Don't get shut out. Order now. Contact your local cable system for complete details.